Hey, I'm Clay Aiken. We're in the house at the Schubert Theater in New York, the home of Monty Python's Spamalot, and we're here to do Broadway.com's Ask a Star. I am sore. My foot hurts, my leg hurts, my back hurts, my head hurts. Pretty much every single part of me hurts. So the dancing, even though there's not that much in this show, is probably enough for me. I'm hoping that the next, if I ever do another show, that I can sit in a chair and sing and talk the entire time. Maybe a wheelchair of some kind, and I could just move around on stage like that. Amy, I actually had one of the funniest experiences happen to me just the other night. We had a cast member who has been with Spamalot since the very beginning. He was one of the original dance captains, and he left the show this past Sunday. And I guess as a tradition in Broadway, there was a little bit of a prank on him. And there's a part in the show at the very end of the show where I say, "You can," and I too have found my grail, and the entire ensemble goes, "What's that?" And when I said that line, nobody said "what's that" except for this one person, and he screamed it as loud as he could. He had no idea he was being punked like that, and no one had told me either, so I could not finish what I was supposed to say afterwards, and I just laughed through the whole thing. That's professional. Kimberly, I've got something to drink in my dressing room. I had to put a TV in because I stay here on Saturdays and Sundays in between shows and sometimes get bored and need to watch some Boston Legal or something. And I have a bed because I need to sleep. So my dressing room is pretty sparse. It's not like the fancy dressing rooms on the road, but we try to make it home because I spend a lot of time in there. All my favorite TV shows are going off the air. I loved Jericho. I was a huge fan of that. It got canceled. I was a huge fan of The Riches, canceled. Now the only things that I really watch are Boston Legal and ER, and both of them are in their final season, so I'm game. I'm open for something new. You'd have to find an international superstar and ask them that, because I don't know that I qualify as that. I don't usually eat breakfast. I kind of wake up at 1. Skip straight to lunch. Just kind of speak a little Cockney accent at the very beginning of the show, and then we have to be a little more proper when we become knights, and then I do this Brother Maynard thing. None of them were really difficult. I've always worked with British people since I did Idol. Idol was produced by British people, and everybody I've worked with since, from manager to everybody, has been British, so I just mock them and copy them. I'm still practicing. I don't consider myself in great shape, and I have, I really just, like I said, I'm still sore. The first few weeks of rehearsals, I would come home from the rehearsal studio and lay on the kitchen floor in the apartment because it was cold and I needed some place to collapse and cool off. I consider every evening practice, actually, and one of these days, maybe by January 4th, I'll get it right. The very first Broadway show I ever saw, I came to New York right after Idol with Ruben, and we came and saw Frenchie, our fellow Idol contestant, in Rent right after that. And since then I've seen several, none as good as Spamalot, note to selves. I think theater is something that everybody in the world, every student all over the country kind of gets exposed to at some level in their high schools and whatnot. So I hope that Parker, when he gets to an age that if it's something that he enjoys, I hope he takes part in it like I did, and I'm not going to push him into doing anything he doesn't want to do. So. Paula, I never sought out doing this show, and I don't really seek out anything that happens, a lot of stuff that happens, so I definitely would entertain the idea, and I've had a lot of fun. One of the neat things is being able to work with peers, because when you're in an environment where you're doing a tour and you're on your own concert, you kind of are on your own out there. The pressure's all on you, and most people to some extent work for you who are on stage, and with this situation, people who you're on stage with kind of share the responsibility, and it's a team, and I kind of like having that team mentality and that family mentality quite a bit. So it's definitely something that I would entertain the possibility of doing if the right thing came along. It's going to have to involve very little dancing. You know, the nice thing about Spamalot is that that fourth wall doesn't always exist. There are plenty of times that we can react towards the audience, can look at the audience. So it's kind of a nice middle ground between, I think, what a concert would be and what a normal Broadway show would be. You know, we actually do interact with the audience on a few times, so it gives me an opportunity to have a little taste of what I'm used to. No. I think it would be a lot of fun. I don't know that I'd be qualified, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to play Rick Holmes' part, Lancelot. He plays Lancelot the night, the King Knee Knight, and he gets to fly through the air as Tim the Enchanter, which is kind of neat. He's an unbelievable actor, and I am just a slightly believable actor. And so I don't know that I'd be qualified, but I think that'd be fun. If I don't say somebody's name who's in my show, I'll probably get beat up. And if I say just one person's name of a person who's in my show, I'll probably get beat by other people too. So I would say no. I don't necessarily have a favorite Broadway performer. I'm not horribly familiar with it. I do think that anybody who's on the Broadway stage in any capacity is likely 10 times more talented than many of the people in LA or other parts of the entertainment industry. So I have nothing but respect for all of them. You know, David Hibbert, who plays Patsy in Spamalot, is somebody who, for whatever reason, can make his character, make you just fall in love with his character and smile, even if you're backstage or in the audience when I've seen him do it. So I'll say David Hibbert for this, and hope that nobody who's on the show with me is watching this. This, Martha, would probably be the 500th time I've been asked that this week alone. I don't really know. I would children's songs, lullabies. We've had those possibilities thrown at us a few times. We'll see if it's right. You know, maybe. Does that work for an answer? No comment. No, actually I've enjoyed New York to some extent. I like the fact that things are open at all hours. The place I lived the very first time I was here, things were open 24 hours a day, all the time, walk to the corner, get whatever you wanted. I chose to live in a little quieter place this time, so that makes things a little bit harder to get to. I will not miss the construction noise and the traffic noise, which I have a lot of now. And I think I will miss a little bit being able to get to anything and everything anytime that you want to be there, but at the same time, I'm always homesick for North Carolina, so I appreciate New York a lot more after having lived here, and have a lot of respect for it and the people who live here and the people who drive here. But I'm kind of a small town guy at heart still. I get asked this a lot too, Jeff, and I probably will answer the same thing. Martina McBride has since I was this big. Sorry, Martina, since I was really young, has always been my favorite vocalist, really. She's got an unbelievable voice, and I haven't really explored the possibility of something like that before, but I just think she's extremely talented, and so if I had to choose someone, it would probably be her. You would have to ask the star of the show. That's Michael Sibbery. He'll be here in a little bit. I don't really know. The best thing is, like I said earlier, being able to work with a bunch of people who have a common goal, and being able to hear the sound check every day, which it just really gets me excited. Being able to work with people who have a common goal and who work towards making the audience excited every night, and taking the same thing, essentially doing the same lines and the same moves and the same thing every single night, and making it new and fresh. And that's kind of neat. That's a challenge that I look forward to. Thanks for hanging out with us through our sound check and our little tech setup of the show. And thanks for your questions. It's been kind of neat to hear from everyone. Please check out Spamalot before January, before it's all over and gone. It's probably one of the best shows Broadway has ever seen, and I'm not biased at all. And so make sure you check it out before January 18th. I'll be here till January 4th, so come then.